Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Tim Time again. So, no cool electronic projects, or I guess I can't even say cool, but no electronic projects, but something I did want to share with you. Nail gun. I'm not going to shoot it through my hand or anything, but I'll try to make it a little more upbeat because Chris told me I sounded really sad in the last episode, but it's I spent my whole last 25 years living here, so that's like one hundredth of my life. But to get up and move isn't the most, in my case, isn't the most exciting, wonderful thing. But we'll see what happens. But we did take an offer on this house, and there'll be a closing, and we extended the closing on the house up north. So looks like so far this is going to happen. But in the meantime, you spend 25 years of your life starting projects, and then in one day you have to finish them all, and that's where this comes into play. And I'll zoom in and you'll be able to see the part number just in case you're interested. It's not a story about this particular item, but there's just something I did want to explain to you. Let's see if I can zoom in even more to get that part number. Excuse the bumpiness of the camera there. I'm trying to... Alright. Hopefully that was good enough. Again, like I said, it's not just about this particular item, because I haven't used it enough to be able to give it a really good review. So far, I have no problems with it at all, and we'll give you a brief demonstration when I'm done. But anyhow, if you're like me, you probably take on some projects or do things that may be beyond your abilities, or really testing your abilities, or something that sounds fun to do, and starting it's always fun, and then, believe it or not, the heavy and the hardest part is what you do first, and then the last part, like putting trim on, is something that needs to be done, and before you know it, it's 5 years later and still needs to be done, and then you have another room that needs to be done, and which leads me to putting on baseboard. You have to lay down on your side and hit it in with a hammer, and then tap it in with a punch a little bit further, and then put wood putty over it, and it seems like it takes forever. Or the moldings around the door, and you're forever hitting the wood and denting your moldings, and profanity flies everywhere. So I'll show you a couple of things. Alright, the color's probably lacking a bit. Let me see if I can turn more lights on. Alright, with more lights on, so you can see the door and these moldings here. Of course, I had to put those on, but this room here was a bathroom that I built in this house, and there's the moldings on the floor, the baseboard moldings, and the door moldings, and you know how that is whenever you're doing an addition or you're doing anything. You build the walls or whatever, and that's actually the hard part. It's when you go to put the baseboard on, which should be the easy part, that you always think I'll get to that later. Well, I'll show you another room I did, but it's what I'm getting at is, if you do this kind of thing and you're really dreading that, get yourself one of these nail guns. I finally went out and got one, and it was at Lowe's, and it came with the compressor and everything, and I'll show you that as well. It was on sale for $149, and I actually bought some nails with it, and well, unfortunately left the nails in the cart after I unloaded everything into my truck, and when I went back, it was, I guess somebody had used that cart, or the nails fell on the ground, or whatever. But anyhow, so I lost out on the nails, so that was about an $8 mistake. But what are you gonna do? They're gone. So hang on a minute, we'll do something else. Alright, so there's the compressor that came with it. It's a Craftsman, it was like a whole kit. The whole kit and caboodle came as one. It came with the air hoses. Basically, all I had to add was nails. I was surprised it didn't come with those, but not a big deal. So I got two different sizes of nails, and you know, you have to buy special nails when you do this. You can't just go and buy regular brass or finish nails. You have to buy the kind that are, I'll show you some. I have some in with the nail gun when we go to try it out. But it reminds me, I can't say I haven't done anything electrical. I had to put GFI breakers up in the kitchen. I'm not breakers, GFI plugs in the kitchen. And outlets are, I don't know if everybody or just people in the States call them plugs. They're outlets. And I know that when they do a home inspection, that's one of the big things they do. So the new buyer has requested an inspection, and that'll happen on Monday. And that was another one of those things. I moved the kitchen around so many times in this house that I didn't put GFIs above the sink, so I took care of those. But the funny, well, not funny thing, but I should have been filming it because I was almost electrocuted. I said to my daughter Sammy, I said, hey, go out and watch. There's a nightlight plugged into the plugs. I'm going to throw the breaker here and yell to me when it goes off. I wanted to make sure it was the correct breaker. So I throw the breaker. She says, okay, it went off. Perfect. I go upstairs, and they're light sensitive night lights. So I go over to the plug, and yeah, it's off. I pull it out, pull out the night light, take everything apart. I start working. All of a sudden, I'm getting sparks, and I'm hearing things beeping and everything, and I can't figure it out. Hey, come in here and check and tell me what's beeping. And they're looking, my wife and my daughter, they come in and they're looking, and I said, that shouldn't be beeping. There's something wrong here. Well, the microwave was beeping. Every time I touched the circuits on the plug that I was taking out, I'm there, this is wrong. This is wrong. Maybe it's got a hot ground. I don't know what's going on here, because I was only working on the white side of the wires. And then my wife said, well, that's not the light that Sammy was looking at. So apparently she was looking at another plug somewhere with some lights, and when she saw that go out, she told me. So always double check before you start to work on something like that. Make sure that the feedback you're getting or that what you think is turned off is dead. That just happened to be a coincidence that there was a night light that looked similar to the one that I told her to look at in a different plug that was on a different breaker. But no harm done. I'll probably be able to use my right arm again at some point. No, I didn't get shocked or anything, but just something to think about. Always double check before you start taking things apart. I always kind of, even when I have it all turned off, I always kind of treat it like it's a live circuit. Just in case. I always kind of watch my hands. I don't like to put two hands in the same area. Like if I'm working in a breaker box or something, I don't like to ever put two hands inside that box. So just that's my craziness. Alright, so there's what we call my COVID closet. When everybody was stuck in the house because of the whole COVID thing, I used my time to build a closet. This was an older house well, it's still an older house, but you know how it is with older houses, they never put enough closets, if any at all. So I built this closet in a front entry room that we never really knew what to do with. But as you can see what's missing down there? The moldings. But there's actually a reason for these being gone. It's because my wife could never decide what the heck she wanted to do with the floor. So, but I'll show you on the inside. Well, there's stuff in there, but yes, I put an outlet in my closet. I'm weird. But you see the moldings are on there, and trying to show you the door moldings, even on the inside of the closet are on there. And I used a nail gun for that, and that was the first time I'd ever used a finishing nail gun, and I was sold. So if you ever Oliver, you're on TV. Yeah, if you ever do a project, nail gun. So lastly, what I actually brought to show you was this floor molding right here. I don't know how well it's going to zoom in. It's a little bit dark in here. This floor molding right here. Let's see if I can turn some lights on. I probably put the floor here in this kitchen oh, 7, 8 years ago. And why are you not focusing? Let me get back at. See what happens here. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It wouldn't focus. But anyhow, I probably put this molding in, or this floor in, 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe more than that, actually. And I finally put the moldings in just recently. I don't know why. I think it's just the lighting up there why this won't focus. But, you know, an old house, old walls, and those walls are, they're not drywall. They're how they actually use plaster. And the plaster is like concrete. But the nail gun blew right into that and attached those. And the nice thing is, if you're not beating on it with a hammer, you know, this plastic, you start beating on it with a hammer, you start getting cracks up the wall. The nail gun's so fast, and one boom, and they're in. So, enough about that. So I know what you're saying. You're saying to yourself, but Tim, you're obviously a professional contractor by the work you've done. It's so flawlessly amazing. Well, let me stop you right there. Actually, I'm not. No, it's, I don't claim to be a professional contractor. This house was old, like I said, and I bought this house when this was my first house, and I bought this house with the intention of doing exactly what I did, changing walls, building things, and I learned a lot in doing it. You know, the drywall, for instance, one of the things I learned with that was don't be in a hurry and never put it on too thick. Take 3, 4, 5 coats rather than a thick coat thinking, I can do it with one thick coat. Do it in thin coats and try and feather it in with another light coat rather than sand. I can find that I can do drywall now. It might not be the best in the world, but I can mud in between the seams and everything on drywall with a minimal amount of sanding. I run the drywall in, and then or the spackling compound in as thin as I can. I do maybe a couple coats, and then where the drywall meets the road, or no, where the spackling meets the drywall, and you get that little lip, I'll take and put another thin edge there with a long trowel or a long, what do you want to call it? I don't know. I can't. Anyhow, a long trowel, and I have the big long. I can't even get my hands in there. I have the long ones that I can show you. And the idea is I kind of keep feathering it in, and maybe it goes out a little bit further, but it minimizes on the amount of sanding. And you know, anybody that's done that kind of work knows that that just gets dust everywhere. So the less you can sand, the better. So it's actually, take your time, expect to do it in more coats, but thinner. And it dries a lot faster too, so you could probably get 2 or 3 coats done anyhow. I know it's a pain in the butt because you put your stuff away, you clean it all up, and then the next day you got to dirty it all up again, but that's just the business. Get yourself the drywall, the tray to do it in. Don't try and work out of a bucket. I'll show you what I mean. Now let me show you these nails first. These are the nails that the gun uses. If you look, it kind of reminds you like the staples, or you know, like. And you put these in, and see they have a head on them, but it's not a real big head, so it sinks them a little bit, but you hardly even notice it. And then if they're in an area where you can see it, you can certainly go over it with a wee little tiny bit of wood putty. I think this costs about $7, and I think I think there's like 1,000. Where am I at here? 1,000 in here. This was about $7. To load this thing, it's real easy. And see the little guys in there? That's them. Just drop them in and close it up again, just like a staple gun. But hang on a second. Yeah, get yourself one of these trays to put your drywall mud in. You can scoop it out of the container, and then you can work in here and see these little things push in the side. They pull right out to clean them, and they're nice to scrape your drywall off. But get yourself a couple different sizes of these. I have everything from a 2-inch to this is a 12-inch. And it just makes life a lot easier when you at least have, like I always tell you, having the tools. The tools are what can make you look like a professional, even when you're like me and you don't know what the heck you're doing. You know, just like anything, don't be afraid to give it a try. And you know, That's probably why I got an old house, so that I can do this kind of experimentation on. And yes, the house I'm moving to is another old house. I didn't do the new house thing, but we'll fire this thing up and show you how awesome they are if you've never used one before. Again, like I said, it's certainly nothing I'm pushing. This just happened to be the one that was on sale. It was a choice between this and a friend of the one I used for upstairs in one of the rooms upstairs was a Harbor Freight thing, and it seemed to work pretty good too. But I only have about a dozen, maybe probably 20 or less nails through this, and it's worked great so far. Right here it gives you about the air pressure you should set to, and I think I was running right about almost 100 in this, probably about 95. And the kit that came with it, I think it's a 6-gallon tank, and it's nice too because I don't have a compressor up in the house. I have one down in the garage, obviously, and that's a big thing. And every time I do something, you know, even working on a radio up here and I want to blow it out, I got to pack everything up, take it down the garage, blow it out, bring it back up. It'll be nice to have something like that, even for doing little projects and everything, or temporarily until I get things set up at the new place. You know, of course, my wife will probably get a flat tire on her car or something. So let me get this, without further ado, we'll get this set up and we'll give you a quick demonstration of blowing some nails through, because you've probably never seen anyone drive a nail before in your life. Alright, so it's a little bit soft because it's going to be pine, but something I just thought about is we'll actually go into the compressor because it won't do me any good without the compressor. I can't blow into that hard enough. But I put in the garage, we have an attached garage on this house as well, and there's a part of an addition that I didn't do that. That's kind of above my skill set, but the big addition like that. But anyhow, there's an attached garage, and you know, every time I would go down there, the lights would be on. One of the girls or somebody, they would go into the garage and they would turn the lights on, and you know, it might sit a day or whatever, and there was all these lights in there, and they'd always be turned on. So I went and I bought one of those switches that's a sensor switch, and that's a great thing if you have an area like that where the lights always seem to get left on and there's no real way because it's got a solid door and you can't see it. But I have that switch, and it senses when you walk in there. Now, to this day, it's been like a year since I put that switch in, but to this day, every time I walk in there, I still reach around and try and turn the lights on, and then I remember. But that's definitely a great thing, and I'll show you that before too, just in case you never realized that they exist. But a garage is a great place for it, because that's generally the kind of place somebody walks in, does something, and walks back out. Not like I've threatened to put them in the bathroom as well, but they all booed that one. So let me, we're going to take this in the other room with where the compressor is, and I'll shoot a couple nails. Now, one thing I will say, the compressor's a little bit noisy. So, if you're working somewhere in a closed room, you'll want to probably make sure you have on hearing protection. Now, pay no mind to the mess in here because this is just stuff getting packed up, ready to go. But you'll see the lights come on automatically when I walk in. And there it is. I'm sure you've seen those before. And underneath this cover here, there's adjustments that you can set for how sensitive it is, how long it is, or how long it stays on. But it's nice because, again, like I said, as you can see with this room here, when you close the door, you have no way of knowing if the light's been left on for 3 days or not. And if you have 4 or 5 lights in there, you know, not only is it the time of keeping the light or paying to keep the lights on, but you also, you know, the lifetime of the light bulbs. So let me get set here and we'll drive some nails. All right, I didn't bring my tripod in, so this thing here, let me make sure I'm not zoomed in at all so that we can see as much as we can, you know, but this thing here, it's not heavy. It's you know, as you can tell, you can hold it right out there forever with an arm. It's safe if you squeeze the trigger. Nothing's happening. That it is. And then you can set up too where you just hold the trigger, and when you touch the front, watch. I think I have to set the trigger on a different setting for that. I haven't looked at that. They said try it, and I was okay. But I didn't try it. But anyhow, it won't go off until you compress that in the front. See? And it sets the nail, and you can set the depth of the nail. So that set them nice, practically nice and flush, or a little bit deeper than flush, but and you hear it's not heavy at all. I mean, not loud at all, rather. So hang on one second. So let's see. Here, I'll throw it on the ground, that way it'll work good. If you look, trying to get it over, right there you can see a little wheel in the front. I can't point because my hands are all tied up, but that little wheel there, that's how you set the depth of how deep you want the nail to go in. And so again, not a plug for Craftsman. I don't have any stock in that company. It's just what I have, and it's dark here. I don't know if it's going to zoom. There we go. There's the model number of the nail gun. And if you look at Lowe's, at least here in the States, it was on sale. Like I said, it was $50 off. Whether it was or not, I don't know, but it was still a pretty decent deal, and it definitely made life a lot easier for me. Let me see. Oh yeah, there's the nails that came through the back. That's why I leaned it against the wall the way I did, because these are 2-inch nails. So these are the long nails too. So as you can see, it had no problem with driving them through there, and and that was just, I think the setting was about halfway, so they probably could have drove them deeper. Okay, now it's recording. All right, so this is Tim, and there's a time, and even though we didn't do anything electronics, that was a project, a couple of projects. So that would make it Tim Time Projects, and I hope that if you had any doubt about ever using one of those nail guns, that this was a little bit helpful for you. Like I said, it wasn't meant to be a review. It was meant to be more for somebody that was like me, was looking at them saying, well, I don't know if I should buy one. I don't know if I should buy one. Well, the little bit of moldings that I've done in the last couple days just trying to get this house ready, it was definitely worth it. And you know, maybe it'll motivate you to do more projects around the house. Of course, you can use it for more than just those moldings. I'm actually looking at a finishing one now. Finishing for shooting the bigger nails into 2x4s, so that you can build framing. I'm not finishing, framing rather. You can build a framing, get ready to hang your drywall or whatever. Of course, I do screws in a drywall, and again, it's just really nice because if you're working on something like this, an old house that's existing, and you have existing walls that are that plaster, and you start driving nails in, and you're beating the nails and beating them in, things are going to crack. That thing, boom, it's in. So there's that part as well. But yeah, and it'll make you maybe finish your projects, you know, 5 to 10 years earlier, because you'll actually go and put the moldings on instead of not doing that. So again, thanks for watching, and I hope you find this interesting. Like I said, I'll try and update with interesting things as I'm going along. Probably won't be doing too many projects until after November, when we get into the new place, and then I can show you around what all we got going on there. And you'll probably think, Tim, you'll never have any time for anything once you see that. Take care.